Hi everyone, I'm Tara Lon. Welcome to Time Out with Tinseltown Mom. This episode is sponsored by the Table Tyke. Have you ever been to a restaurant when your teething baby starts gnawing on the edge of the table? Well, the Table Tyke was invented just for that. The Table Tyke is a silicone placement mat with a table edge bumper that creates a safe gnawing and teething experience for babies and toddlers. The multi-use, reusable mat is not only BPA free, but dishwasher and microwave safe. If this is something that can benefit you, then check out the Table Tyke's link in the show notes. I'm here today with Danielle Melton, founder of MOTHERboard Society, an organization that champions working moms. She's also a foster care and adoption advocate. Today, Danielle is going to talk about her non-traditional road to motherhood. Hi, Danielle. Welcome to the show.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me. So excited to be here.
And before we delve into the topic at hand, why don't you just tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Yeah. So thank you for the beautiful introduction. I'm Danielle Melton. I am a wife, mom, executive leader, and I call myself a moach, which is a mom coach. And I have created MOTHERboard Society due to, my own issues with trying to balance being a mom, trying to balance work, trying to balance being a great wife. And just through those challenges, I was noticing I was getting burned out through a lot of things. And anyway, I just created the solution to this issue with the working mom burnout with MOTHERboard Society. I am here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I am the oldest of four. And in my former life, as I was mentioning, I was an executive leader in education, holding positions from leading schools to teaching at university level and all those things. But now I am a full-time entrepreneur focused on MOTHERboard Society. So
nice. How long ago did you start MOTHERboard Society?
Yeah, we started back in 2020, right? Literally before the pandemic happened. So February 2020 at that. So we were wanting to do things, here in person in Tulsa, and then with the pandemic happening, had to go virtual. So it's really interesting because us transitioning to virtual at that time, I think that was helpful for us because we were all stuck in the house with our kiddos and, just needed community, needed something, different than just a way out, basically, because we were stuck at home. So I think that helped us with, gaining momentum and gaining people to know who we are because we came at the right time is basically
Yes.
what I'm saying.
I feel like a lot of things were birthed, no pun intended, through COVID, actually.
Yes, exactly. A lot of people became entrepreneurs during that time. It was like, hey, I may want to do this, or I'm interested in that and stuff like that. So I totally agree with you on that.
Yes. So speaking of motherhood, let's talk about your motherhood journey. So you mentioned that you're married. Now, when did you start thinking that you wanted to have kids?
Yeah, great question. So I've been married for 12 years. And when it comes to kiddos, like I've always wanted, I always wanted kids. My whole background is in education. I've been around children since I was little, from even having my own babysitter license and job when I was like 11. So children were my love. I've been around it for so long. So when we got married, we weren't wanting kids, but I did want to. Even since little, I told me and my siblings, we actually had a pact, but I'm the only one that did it. But we were saying like we all want to adopt a child because there are a lot of children out there that need a home. So whether or not I was going to have children, traditionally or non-traditionally, that was something that I wanted to do. And another cool thing is that my parents were foster parents too. So they introduced us to foster care because we have foster siblings due to that. So seeing how my parents treated the foster children and like changed their lives, and a lot of them are still in our lives today as our foster siblings, like I wanted to make that change and do that for my community and for children in need. So that's kind of where that happened because of, my passion for children, my parents showing that great example of being foster parents. And I said, I want to do that as well. So that's kind of how that worked out with us fostering.
Okay. And just for those who may not know, can you just explain the difference between foster care and adoption?
Yes. So foster care is a way where children are taken out of their home due to out of their traditional home with their birth families normally due to a situation that is that can be dangerous for the child. So whether it's domestic violence, the parents are doing drugs, if they're being physically abused, neglect, a lot of different things are happening, and to a child in their home. And so that's when the state has to come in and basically take the children out of the bad situation and put them in another home or another positive situation while the parents work on fixing the bad situation. So it's when the state gets involved and the child will be basically in state custody. So here in Oklahoma, state custody is called Department of Human Service here. I know it's different in different places, but it's basically the state coming in and saving the children from that situation. Adoption it can be both through foster care, or it could be like a traditional adoption way. So adoption through foster care is after either the parents give up their rights because it's just too much to try to get their kids back, or they did not follow their plan while they have, a wraparound service to help them follow their plan on, depending on what the situation or charge is. And if they don't follow the plan, then rights are terminated. So then the kids were not able to go back to the home in that way. So that child is up for adoption to be with their forever home.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then there's the traditional adoption route where it's like usually people adopt babies, or you go overseas, and that can cost a lot of money. But through adopting through the state or the Department of Human Service, it doesn't cost you anything. So, yeah. So that hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So usually foster care, that's usually more of a temporary situation.
Temporary.
To help the child. Okay.
No, so when it comes to that, so that's one reason why I want to do it, because I wanted to show and have that home for the kiddos while their parents are working on their stuff. So the goal is for them to get reunified with their parents. So as a foster parent, one of the things I really do is I value the relationship with the birth family. So I'm their cheerleader. I'm the person that, hey, how's it going? We're here for you. A lot of times when we get the kiddos at first, the parents are really defensive because they're thinking we're trying to take their kids. So in the very beginning, I let them know, like, hey, I'm here for you. Like, whatever you need, you can call at any time, long as it's not past like their bedtime. Like, we're here for you. We want you to get your baby back. So that is our mindset. A lot of times when people enter into foster care, that's not their mindset.
Yeah.
So then they get hurt and all these things. So they're like, wanting to adopt, and it's like, well, reunification is number one. And then it's just, you have to have a certain mindset when it comes to that, but we can definitely jump into that a little bit later. But yes, so the goal is reunification.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned, I've never heard it said that way, that as a foster parent, you're an advocate for the child. You want the parent to come back into that child's life. So that's said very beautifully. I've never really thought of it that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. And if not, and if you're going to foster to adopt and have that mindset, I really encourage you to keep in mind the goal is the child to go back home, because you will be hurt so many times. We've had over 33 children in our home with one that rights were terminated and were up for adoption. So wow. Imagine that. Imagine you getting that and you're getting hurt every time, hoping that is your end goal is for you to keep the kiddo.
Yeah.
You're gonna be hurt. That's not feeling good. So if you go into with that mindset of like, I'm here. So I enter into it. I said, I'm here for a certain part of this child's life to expose them to positive parenting, expose them what it looks like to live in a positive home, so that when they do leave, they've had that, so they know what they can work towards. Yeah. They know that this is possible. Like, I've seen what this looks like. I've been exposed to that, so they have that.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
So that's really important to me.
Yeah.
So, and if you keep that mindset of like, I'm here for a season for this child's life, you won't be as hurt. And if you have that relationship with the parent, you're still able to have connections to the child after they leave.
Oh,
so those
wow.
are two really important things when you're thinking about that.
Yeah. So going back to your story, you mentioned that you've had 33 foster kids.
Yes.
In your home.
In my home.
In a matter of how many years?
Since 2016. So
oh my goodness.
Spread out. Yes.
Since 2016. Were you thinking about having kids back then, or were you just had the mindset of fostering during that time?
So during that time, we just wanted to foster. We kind of wanted to do that, and then my husband was in like school. I was kind of like working on well, actually, we just graduated school, so we were like, okay, so before we enter into the pregnancy and all this stuff, we wanted to, like as I mentioned, I wanted to always foster, or and I always wanted to do that. So I was like, hey, it wasn't the easiest to encourage my husband to join it because he wasn't exposed to that like I was. But after I got him on board, he was all the way in, and it was so beautiful. So, yeah. So to answer your question, we wanted to foster first before we started.
Yeah. So after fostering all these kids, up to how many kids first did you have in your home at one time?
Ooh, let me tell you. So, started with 2. I think we had 3 at one point, but we got a call one time for a family, and they're like, hey, they just got taken out the home. They're needing, place for them to stay. I said, okay, how many kids are under this age? How many girls? How many this? So we were going to take like 3 of them out of the 5. And they were saying, well, the bigger brother, he's like 11, and we just don't want to split him. And so anyway, all that to say, we took all 5 on top of our kiddo. So we had 6 kids at once.
Wow.
6 kids. And so glad we did that, because we don't want to split kids. That's another thing we try not to do, is split kids. So usually we get siblings, but it's usually 2 or 3, not 5. But we were a home that we were able to have 5, with our sleeping arrangements. But we had to do some quick upgrades. We had to get a bigger vehicle. We paid for a bigger vehicle. We upgraded our garage to be a playroom. We had to do a lot of things. Our house isn't that big to accommodate, and make everybody, feel comfortable in the home and stuff like that. So things happen, but yes, we definitely took on 6 kiddos, and it was fun. Actually, it was a good old time. I felt like I was teaching. I was like, okay, everybody, let's come to the table. Let's do this arts and crafts. Let's go do this and do that. And it was actually one of the best times having that many.
Yeah, it takes a person with a lot of patience to be able to do that. So you must have a lot of it.
Oh yeah, and I mean, and they're kids. And again, my background's in education, and we just have a good time together.
Yeah. So okay, so you foster kids. At what point in your relationship did you realize, okay, we foster kids, now we want to have our own? Like how many years into your marriage were you like, okay, let's start having our own?
Yes. So I think we started back in, so let me just go back we are a parent to our daughter who is adopted. Her name is Kennedy. She came to our home when she was 5 and she was adopted at 6. And that was back in 20, what is it? What is it? 2018, I believe. Yes, 2018.
So she was 5 in 2018. That's when she came into your home?
She was 5 in 2017.
Okay.
She turned 6 in 2018. Actually, it's her birthday today. She's 12 today.
Aww.
Yeah. So so we adopted her. And then after we adopted her, we gave it a year, and then we said, okay, maybe we should try, so when we adopted her, we kind of closed our home for a minute so we can kind of have that relationship with her and gain that trust. And, because again, she was fostered to adopt, and our first adoption, our only adoption as of right now. And then when we start trying after the year, we're like, oh, okay, this isn't as easy as we thought. I was in my early 30s. Myself and my husband, we really wanted to get through school as well, get through college, get all that done, and be at a certain point before we brought a child into the world. Then we fostered and, adopted, and we were like, okay, done with school, done with all that. Let's try. And again, it was not as easy as we thought. It was a bit challenging, actually. And just seeing how my parents and my grandma kind of popped out kids quick, I just felt that was going to be my journey. Because I was like, oh, this, and I'm the type to want to plan certain things. My sister, she planned, got pregnant, so I was okay, well, this is great. We're doing this. You got this job. Let's try, let's give Kennedy a sibling. And it didn't happen as we thought. And we're still on that journey to this day. And it's
it's just interesting for sure when you have a mindset of something and it doesn't happen the way you want. What did they say? Create your own plan. Like, what is it? God says, something about how to make God make your own plan or something. So it's like, I'm trying to plan things and God's like, maybe not at this time and things like that. So, but yeah, so that's kind of, we did it basically after Kennedy was adopted, a year after we started. Yeah.
Okay. And how many years have you been on that journey as far as the traditional route of motherhood?
Yeah. So I say about 5 years, 4 or 5 years. It was kind of like off and on, and to kind of push on that, we didn't time it. We were just like, just get off of, birth control and just let it happen. And then after a few years, we're like, maybe we should kind of time it, because it's not, because we're just trying to like have it be like a thing that happens,
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, maybe we should focus on it. And then we kind of did, and it was like, that's still not happening. So we did go to a fertility specialist to kind of help us out and stuff like that. And kind of found out that we were going to have a little challenge with getting pregnant. So we're like, okay. So, we went through, one round of fertility that didn't work out. And, that happened, I believe, last year. And this year we miraculously did get pregnant for the first time in March. And, unfortunately we miscarried on that. But all this to say is I am still being hopeful and, moving forward with that, hoping to be able to get pregnant. And if I do not, and if it doesn't happen, that's okay too. Like, I still feel like I'm fulfilled as a mother because of Kennedy and because of my, my journey this way. And it's just so interesting. Like, I love her as if I did birth her. So either way, I'm not disappointed. It would be nice, but if it doesn't happen, I'm fine too.
Yeah.
So I'm really good with the mindset of that. Like, I'm not, and then I think it's a little different, especially with those who are, dealing with infertility and don't have, children at all. Like that can definitely be hard because you want that to be that mother, be a mother. And I feel like I have fulfilled that and have been, I am a mother, but it would be a cool bonus if I did have another kiddo. But I am 36 too. So, we're going to give it like another year or so. And if not, we going to just be happy where we are.
Yeah. I love your perspective. And I think that's important for other women to hear that, especially you saying that you adopted Kennedy. Like, you don't feel it's no less because it wasn't done naturally. I think a lot of women trying to get pregnant, maybe thinking about adoption, they don't understand that. So for the fact that you said that, I think is helping somebody with their decision.
100%. Yeah. Not even like I would have known, like if you have not even known, we wouldn't know. And like I said, we got her at 6 or at 5. And since then, my life has been changed for the better, 100%.
That's awesome.
So yeah, for those who are out there, if you're feeling like, hopeless, or you're feeling like, down and out, just keep that in mind. First off, keep hope alive. I know people say it all the time, keep a positive mindset, but also know that there are other ways to become a mom. Like, you don't have to have them to be blood to be your child.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. Like, you still will be fulfilled if you went a non-traditional route, because I am.
Yes. The fact that you fostered 33 kids, like you were a mother to those kids, even though maybe that wasn't your official title, but for them to be able to have the experience of a loving home, a role model, like even that in and of itself is, to me, kudos for your motherhood journey. I think that's awesome. Now, would you ever think about fostering more?
Oh, we do. Yes. Our last one just went home. Is another great success story. So our house is open now. We had a phone call yesterday saying, hey, we have a 6-year-old being removed due to domestic violence. I said, yep, let's bring her on. And then they wanted her closer to a different city. So we were like the backup in case they didn't find anything. So we're open. We're still foster parents, and Kennedy, she loves it. It's so funny. She absolutely loves it. She's like, when are we getting more kids? Like, I need a friend. Like, what's going on? So she was so excited yesterday when I told her a possible kiddo, was coming, and just kind of keeping in mind, like, when it comes to fostering, we have to enter into it like this child has just been, this is the hardest time in this child's life ever, probably. You are taking away from your parents, and usually no matter how bad the situation is, they love their parent. It could be a horror. They want to go back home. They want to be with their parent. So keeping in mind how we have to, walk around and enter into fostering with every kid is different. Like, we have to meet them where they are. What's their story? How do we do it? What's their favorite snack? So then when they come, we try to make that a easier time for them, because I couldn't imagine being snatched from my parents like that. I mean, put yourself in their position. Like, Kennedy's excited, but I have to also remind her, like, hey, these kids may need some space because it's just really hard for them. So we're going to try to make this a smooth transition for them, with it. But that's another thing that we definitely need to make sure we keep in mind is like the child's mental, the child's, how are they feeling? They're going to be crying, it's not, and it depends on the child. We had one child come in so excited. I have a bed, like so excited, like so happy to have a bed. It all depends on the situation. So just making sure we're meeting them where they are. That some kids may want hugs the whole time, I'm hugging them. Some kids don't want to be touched, I'm not touching them. So you have to read the room, read the child, get the much information as you can when they come to your home. So that's just a little nugget to keep in mind if you're interested.
That's good. Now, how do you navigate, let's say, I mean, some of the kids, may have come from a rough environment, maybe physical, there may be some behavioral issues. Like, how do you navigate that with your daughter, like in the home? Like, I don't know, have you ever had to experience that where maybe certain boundaries had to be set into place, or maybe they needed counseling? Like, how do you navigate that?
Yeah. So as soon as we get a kiddo in our home, we put them into counseling. We set them up. I mean, even if they seem doing like well and all that stuff, they are still going through some trauma right now. Like, we are putting you into wraparound services, to support you. So yes, most of the kiddos who come in our home have some kind of behavior issue. Most of them. My tolerance is a little bit higher than a lot of others, I noticed, but it's okay. Some people are like, oh no, they're throwing things, they have to go. And I'm like, they're kids. They've been through trauma. Of course, they're going to be doing things, So having boundaries is really important. Having conversations, talking about the rules and what they can do and what they can have is really important too. Always keeping that mindset of like what we do, like, we do eat at the table. We do this instead of don't, because then all they hear is don't. So like, we are kind. We use gentle hands on our friends. We do this, and instead of don't hit. So we try to kind of keep that mindset, and then we have conversations with them and things like that. But if they're being very unkind to Kennedy, we really try to have a conversation with both Kennedy and the child. And if they need to be separated, we'll have that too. But we try to teach them how to play together. Now, there were some situations where, unfortunately, we weren't the best fit for a child. We couldn't accommodate their needs because they needed a little bit more help. That happens as well. But just making sure that I've done my part and seeing what I could do to best support the child. And if it wasn't the best fit, then that's not on me. I'm like, I feel great with how I handle the situation, but sometimes kiddos need different things. Maybe they need less children. Maybe they need, a stay-at-home mom instead of a working mom. So trying to figure out what's best for the kid is always something that's, in front of my mind.
Yeah. Now, would you, as far as if someone wants to adopt, do you think that going from foster to adoption is the better route? Or, I mean, I'm sure there's not a better route, right. But do you advocate for that, foster to adoption, or if they definitely want to adopt, to go more the traditional adoption route?
I only know foster to adoption. So I say, I'll preach what I know. And just keeping in mind the kids in foster care, they have a harder time finding homes than those who are adopted as babies, because some people will say like they're ruined or things like that, which is so sad, especially when they get older. Like, people don't want to adopt teens and stuff like that. They end up in group homes and they don't ever have a family, but I'm always pushing and advocating for fostering, and if adoption happens, it happens, and so I would always say foster to adopt. Those children definitely have a special place in my heart, and they are the ones who surely needs the home. And that's why it doesn't cost thousands of dollars, because the children need help and need a home. So
yeah. Now going back to Motherhood Society.
MOTHERboard Society.
I just made up another title. Motherhood.
Okay,
Society.
Motherboard.
Motherboard
Yes.
Society.
We are a motherhood society. So
yes.
you had it.
Yes. So what are some tangible things that your organization does? Because there's, mothers who are working, trying to manage the household and everything. Like, what are some ways, some benefits, I guess, that your brand offers to working mothers?
So basically, when I created MOTHERboard Society, we started off as networking, because I said, I need something for me. I need to be around other women who understand this journey, because this is hard, trying to balance motherhood, trying to balance this and stuff like that. And then it evolved to what it is now. I had to take a step back and really think, like, what was my why? Why did I need community? Why was I feeling like I was failing at certain things? Why weren't things going well? And then stepping back, I identified that I was going through burnout. I had a lot of mommy guilt. I was like, oh, my husband can go to these things. I got to stay at work. I was just not, my work-life balance or harmony was off. Like, all those things were not going right. So that's when we kind of like evolved into what we are today, which is a subscription platform focusing on burnout, mommy guilt, wellness, self-care, all the things that you need to be the best version of yourself for you, for your family, for your kiddos. So you can thrive in motherhood and not just survive, because I was surviving. Okay. So within MOTHERboard Society, every month we focus on a specific topic, and we have like a bundle is what I would call it. So we, the first of the month we say, hey, this month we're focusing on getting rid of the superwoman syndrome, for instance. And then we have programming all around that, from our training sessions to our discussions, to our lives, to our resources, as well as we also have a wellness piece. So we have a wellness corner, and in that we speak on like a wellness technique or something we can keep in mind. This month is breath work, how we can add breath work in the morning to basically start our day fresh and start our day right, and how to implement that. So that at the end of the month, you have tangible tools that you can put into place to help with that specific subject and that specific issue. Also through my research, I did a lot of research and things like that, finding out burnout is like one of the number one reasons why moms leave work. And then also finding out that burnout is a lot of times internal. So it's little to do with the business and a lot to do with you as the person. So you move to another job and you still are doing too much because you're burning yourself out, because you're not setting certain boundaries and the way you're functioning. So we help with creating, a holistic approach with these, giving you tools and resources so that you don't have to keep experiencing that.
Oh, awesome. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you, Danielle, for being here today. Now, two things. Now, where can people go if they're thinking about fostering or adopting? Is there a place that they can go just to get the information?
So I would say just look up your city's Department of like Human Service, and just like, or foster care near me, foster care in my city, and then it can point you to that direction. Okay. So yes, that's number one, because it's different from each state where that could be found. And if you're wanting more information, I would also say, like, you can contact me. Like, I would love to talk to you more about my journey. I am a big advocate for it. I'm especially encouraging Black and Brown families to do it, because there's not that many of us out here. So just wanting to encourage more people, because there are a lot of children that look like us and they don't have families that look like them. So being around people, they're already going through the hardest time in their life, and then having people say, why does your mom look like this? And, you don't look like, it causes a little bit more issue if they're not able to be in a home. I've noticed that they look like them. So I could be auntie, mommy, I can be whatever they want me to, and they don't have to explain nothing, because that's no one's business, right?
Yeah.
So encouraging other people who look like me and Black and Brown people to foster is so important to me. So please contact me. You can find me on, socials, or, email me at Danielle@motherboardsociety.com. Like, I would love to have a conversation with you.
Okay. And where can people find you if they want to know more about your brand?
Yes. MOTHERboard Society, Motherboard, the reason for that name is because the motherboard is the center of the computer and nothing functions if there's no motherboard. So we are the society. I mean, you know how it is. We are the center of our families, mamas. So motherboardsociety.com. All our social handles are Motherboard Society. That's Instagram and Facebook. And again, or, just message me, email me at Danielle at Motherboard Society. I would love to talk with you. I'd love to have you join us. We're actually launching our virtual chapter very soon, and have partnered with Bravo TV's Allie Levine, and she's going to be the one to help lead the chapter for virtual. So that will be opening soon. So join the VIP waitlist on our website, and we'll let you know. You'll be first to know when it opens in a few weeks.
Hey moms, thanks for listening today. If you enjoy this show, I would love to hear from you by way of an encouraging review. This podcast is meant to be a blessing to mothers, so I appreciate any support for this platform. Until next time.